What's up, everyone? It's Rory from Enlighten the Shadows. Welcome to episode 22. I've got a special guest with me today, and he's a good friend of mine that I've thankfully got to meet through work. So I'm about to introduce this man to you just in a moment. Before I do, I want to say thank you for subscribing to the channel this week. Thank you to those who tuned in to the competition last week about winning some Enlighten the Shadows merchandise. We will be in touch with the winner and we'll announce in due course. So just give us some time with that, because we're first time in the game with all this. So we want to make sure we get it posted out and we do this properly. So bear with us. But yeah, thank you so much for those people who liked the post, tag 3 people. We appreciate you. We're in the 100 club, as I've said before now. So that's good things. We can reach more men. But before you do subscribe, if you haven't, click on below. I want you to just lean in quickly before we start this episode properly. We got a Facebook group and it's of nearly 300 blokes, and it's just full of love and encouragement and people sharing their stories. So as well as like this episode and other episodes, it's more of a closed environment where the public eye, so to see, is off you. So yeah, if you're feeling like you're struggling with life, struggling with the impact of lockdown, or just with your mental health generally, it's a quality place to just get amongst it and get some encouragement and just share your burdens. So yeah, coming up on the screen right now is the link to that. So if you just go on Facebook and go on groups, it's usually the icon with the little people on it. Click it, just type in Enlighten the Shadows, and it'll be like our kind of style of graphic design, which we've got. You'll see in the picture just here on the screen. So if you don't join that, you'll be struggling to learn, and I don't want you to. So make sure you do. We're all about action. So I came up with an acronym back in the summer when I set up Enlighten the Shadows, and it's ACT. And ACT stands for acknowledge, comprehend, and take ownership or action. So right now, that's the T part. Take that ownership, take that action. If you want to just make a change in life, this is a real good self-help tool where it's not too therapeutic. Get amongst it, fellas. So episode 22, here we are. I'm excited. We got an absolute firecracker to come here. I'm telling you, this subject and this person, I can't big up enough because of their courage and bravery. I'm truly, honestly, truly blown away. The fact that this guy, I didn't approach him. I want to make this clear. Usually on Enlighten the Shadows, we just ask people. Rarely, we've had a few people, but rarely do we have people approach us. This guy, and as I said, I know him personally, came to me and he told me a certain subject he wants to share in his life. And he's never really shared this with myself. So I was like, whoa, this is class. So before I introduce Steve Rose, our guest for today, I want to just say to the viewers, I encourage you to really listen to this. This is very important what he's going to share about, because a lot of it is you hear about men doing it to women in terms of domestic violence. Well, with life, like a lot of the time, sometimes men are victims too. And so we're going to hear a lot of his story to do with that. So Steve, mate, welcome to Enlighten the Shadows. How you doing, buddy? Right?
All right, good, thanks to you.
Yeah, I'm great, thanks, mate. I'm glad you're free tonight for a Zoom chat. I don't know if you've had a few in this lockdown. How many have you had?
Quite a few. I think I've had more like Zoom meetings and hot dinners, to be fair, and that says something because I love my food.
You're not in your pajamas now, are you?
No, I'm not. To be fair, I've kind of gone professional. I'm actually in my trackies tonight.
Oh, hey,
so
professional trackies.
I'm tracking my hoodie.
Top man. Oh, thanks for coming on, man. As I was saying before, I'm really blown away, particularly by your bravery of coming forward and just wanted to enlighten this subject of life, because I think there's such an inaccuracy and a lack of reporting and a lack of awareness. And I think, some people might watch this and go, oh man, that's not for me. I've never had that happen to me. I won't allow that and all that. But I think it's very important that people don't make that choice. If they do, that's cool. Like, they're free to do that. But I think it's very important that we have this insight, because a lot of the time with blokes, we cover and hide stuff up, don't we, man? So
we do. As a bloke, we tend to kind of just, bottle things up. We tend to kind of think, never happened to me. You kind of go through the whole period of just withdrawing in yourself, and I think you kind of just don't want to share it with anyone. But it's taken me well over probably, so the subject that I'm going to share in is probably, I'm just trying to think, so 2004 when I ended the relationship. And then, so really, this is the only real time. Obviously, I've shared with friends, family, and things like that, the full incident of what happened. But this is only the real time they've actually shared on a group about that story. So this is exclusive to.
Wow. Well, do you know what I mean? I want to make clear to the viewers, we have not paid Stevie Rose for this episode. We're not paid him to come forward, nor did he insinuate that he should be paid for this information. But yeah, we just want to say we're honoured that you've come forward and wanted to encourage men who may have had this happen in their life or maybe going through it. Although that proportion might be really small, I think it's important each week we mix it up, because I know if you probably watch other episodes, I try and vary like what we talk about, because there'll be weeks where people don't relate. So
I think the thing that sort of made me kind of more want to share the story is that there was a post on Facebook a while ago about a fire station not too far from where I live, Stapleford, just down the road, and they kind of publicising women getting beaten by men, abuse, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there was no mention of males being abused. And that really kind of angered me from a professional organisation like fire service, that they don't equate all genders rather than it was just women rather than men. And it just really touched a nerve to the extent that I actually had made it public how I felt with them, challenged them on their Facebook page. And that's what's made me kind of spur on to kind of come on and say, look, do you know what? Yeah, we're men, we do suffer. And I think it's time that we all acknowledge that men do suffer. I think the problem with us men is that we don't kind of acknowledge that we are a victim.
Man, that's 100%. Because I think a lot of it is like we're afraid that people are gonna like laugh at us. I think particularly with what you're gonna share, I feel like people just like won't take it seriously, and I think that's exactly the point. And I want to again commend you, like, the fact that you even challenge them on that, because it's like a bias. It's like basically saying men take their own life, men struggle with suicide, right? But then never ever mention the fact, well, there's a 25% of suicides that are women, and the fact that actually women attempt suicide a lot, but they're not as clinical, or I don't want to use the word successful, because it's not something to that you succeeded and it's like a positive, but you know what I'm saying. I just think you can't just ignore that. That's a fact, that's a reality. Like, it's so important that we actually put light on the situation, and I want to make clear to the viewers, this isn't a pity party sesh. This ain't
far from it. It's just more of an awareness session that people that we do suffer, it's openly, you speak out about it, because I'd rather tell my story, and if it encourages just one person to speak out about their story and get help and shout out to whoever, even like on the Enlightened ground, if you suffer, you want to talk to me privately, go onto Facebook, message me, whatever, and I'd be available to talk to somebody. Because if it saves one person and you need help escaping violence or abuse, I'll help you the best I can.
Yeah, and you get it. I mean, their story might not be yours exactly, but I think you'd be a way better person to talk to than like me. But yeah, I want to ask you straight, like, before I go into your story, like, obviously me and you got connected and through working in children's residential homes, and you've got a massive heart, mate. Like, we always had a laugh. We always ordered pizza
at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And just before people point the fingers, I'm doing. The kids were settled, and we had it on.
Yeah, they were in bed, and we were having a chat moment.
Hey,
so
after some of our shifts, mate, trust me, we want to say to viewers, trust me, we needed a little pizza now as a reward.
That's safely to say that I'll never go back into children's services after some of the experiences I had. So
it was a delight, wasn't it? It was like
it
was amazing. You learned so much, and it's like
working with the kids we worked with was an amazing experience. To be fair, it was just the whole culture of money overtook everything rather than kind of the caring aspect.
No, I feel you.
It was kind of like, rather than giving care to a child, money was just thrown at it. And I think that was the kind of issue.
And you know what? I think that's not just like a resi thing. I think that's a societal issue and a parenting issue. I think today, like a lot of people, they just think, oh, I'll throw money, I'll give them money, or I'll give them gifts. Like it's called buying them out, and buy them out sort of thing. It's like people just want your time, they want your love, man. But
exactly. And some of the children we work with are amazing.
No,
you know.
Yeah, no regrets, man.
No, we still think of them today, don't we?
Yeah. Well, you do. They're not your kids, but because you spend so much time with them and you have a responsibility, like you still do think about them, wondering they're all right for sure, man. But yeah, so into today, I wanna ask you this before we actually talk like about your situation. It obviously started from somewhere. Like it obviously had a root. Like we'll just refer it to DV. So instead of keep saying domestic violence for people, when we say DV, this is a little disclaimer. We're referring to domestic violence, so we don't want to lose you. I don't want to get all like proper scientific lingo. Let's just say DV for the viewers. Don't have to keep saying it. So with DV, like it's quite. I don't know. I want to learn because I'm going to learn. It's like a listening for me. But I do want to ask you, like, is it like quite subtle about how it started with you, or any research you've got into DV? Like how does it...
So in 2009, when I first got with my ex-wife, it was kind of like everything was hunky-dory first 6 months into the relationship. It was fresh as daisy, in love, all this kind of stuff. It was kind of like, because both of us had not experienced real love from our childhood, so we both came from broken homes. I say that kind of loosely. We kind of both, I grew up in a single parent family from a council estate, all that kind of stuff, so I didn't really know what love was because my mum never really showed me any love. And then obviously my ex-wife, she came from an army family. Her dad was kind of posted here, there and everywhere, so she was kind of them. And we got together through mutual friends, and then we kind of clicked, but it wasn't really clicking. And then sort of 7 months into the relationship, 6 months into the relationship, sort of kind of thing going forward, we lost a child. So miscarriage at 7.5 weeks. So it's that emotion was quite there, but towards sort of before all that, it was kind of little sort of stuff like if I wouldn't do kind of the cleaning, or I wouldn't do, kind of take the bin out, or I wouldn't respond to her needs, or, rub her feet, or, kind of that kind of sort of stuff, because she wanted that and I didn't want to do it. And then it was kind of, well, you know what, you're going to get shouted at, you're going to get slapped. That, I can think that was just a mild point of it.
So it's like kind of daily living tasks and kind of like an expectation for you both to kind of work. I guess it's like kind of like, because I see marriage as teamwork, like
correct, and that's what it should be.
So because like that wasn't being fulfilled, that then obviously naturally brings a bit of frustration
and tension, and kind of and it, I kind of look back at it now and said, you know what, I could have been a better person, but kind of that doesn't excuse what happened. And kind of to rationalize the whole kind of thing that went off, I kind of thinking to that kind of thing, that it was kind of, that's why I said the broken home scenario. None of us really had that real love growing up, so we didn't kind of know. In order for me to process it, that's the kind of route that I've gone down.
Right. Yeah, because I guess DV doesn't make sense logically. If you were to, like, if you just saw it firsthand, you're like, no, allow it. That's not okay. Like, no person should be hurting another person in a loving relationship, or say loving relationship. So like, yeah, man, like, I guess you'd have to, like, in finding the why behind the what, I guess it's important to try and like remove yourself. But that's really hard for you to do that because you were so involved with it. Like,
and then kind of, I think the short space of time as well that we fell pregnant, we had miscarriage, that all, I think, to be fair, added all to the stress. And then, so we sort of got together sort of 2019, and then I ended the relationship in 2014. So although throughout that time, we'd had 2 children as well. So, or 3 children, should I say, first child miscarriage, and, baby was called Ashley. And then we've got obviously a daughter who's 10, and then we've now got we've got a daughter that's 2013, and she's 7. So, which, so 2014 is when everything kind of sort of came to a head at that point, and it just really came to the point where I just wanted to kind of end my own life at the time. There was one night I was working, like February the 28th, literally the end of February, and I was at work all night, you know, not an issue, and literally I just kind of had a really naff shift at work. I went to the off license before I went home, had a few cans, put status on Facebook, and I just went, right, I want to end it all. The girls are better off without me, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And apparently there was over 40 people out looking for me that night. But I didn't know that at the time because I didn't kind of...
Wow.
And then the police actually turned up when they found me, and they said that the amount of people that are out looking for me, they've never seen that before at the time.
Wow.
So,
encouraging to know, isn't it?
You know, and I think, to be fair, there was somebody guiding me that night, because otherwise I was actually sat at Attenborough train station that night. So, which...
Yeah, we won't put two and two together, and we can laugh about it because we gotta make light of these kind of things, because you know what we're talking about today is intense, and you know, not only is DV intense, but like, you know, suicide is intense, and you know, and I guess that's probably the reason why many don't want to talk about it, don't want to come forward, and don't want to disclose as bravely as you've done.
There's a problem, yeah. And you know, I think kind of, you know, for me, that was my release of everything. You know, everything within the relationship, that was kind of my kind of get out clause to end my life, because I didn't want the shame. But I kind of, like I say, didn't succeed in that, because there was somebody there that found me. Again, the police triangulated my signal and came and found me, which, again, at times, you know, it was a blessing, because I'm still here. You know, and, you know, I've got two beautiful daughters, you know, I've got a decent job now. I'm doing quite a lot of voluntary work, and, you know, kind of, I'm good friends with you. So, do you know what? It's positive.
That's so cool. And so let's go back a bit, because like it's great. I think people need to hear the impact it's had on you. Like, it's all good and well saying, yeah, I was a victim of DV, but like, people probably don't understand that. And then now that you got to an absolute, like, such a dark place, that you came to the thought and perception and the belief system that the world was better off without you, your daughters were. So yeah, man, people need to hear that. And I commend you for saying it. So like before, so we were at the point where, you know, the shouting and that was happening because certain expectations weren't being met. So was it how long was it for like the shouting and stuff like that?
So
or was it instant,
kind of the first was the sort of like first year into the relationship, and then kind of after that it kind of started getting physical. So after the miscarriage, it then became physical. And then it kind of then just escalated, kind of where I was being bitten, slapped, whacked with items, all kinds of stuff. I mean, obviously, just for the viewers, the kind of thing, if they want to have a look, there's the, just bear with me 2 seconds. Is that the one? I think that's, can I share my screen, Rory?
Yeah. In fact, no, we'll put it on the screen. We'll put it on the viewers. We'll put it on the screen. Right. So coming up on the screen right now are these pictures. So the picture that we're putting on right now, do you just want to like talk about that, Rosie? Like what happened?
So just bear with me 2 seconds. So this is the first one that people can see. So as you can see, kind of down the bottom there, so there was a bite mark at the top bit there. At the top bit, that's my thigh. So that's kind of my thigh going downwards. So that's where I was bit, and then I was whacked. So obviously there's other like photos, but obviously these are ones I want to share, which is cool. But yeah, so there's a bite mark, and then there's like a weapon mark, so like a belt mark just at the bottom. And then the other one, which is not that one. That one. Can see that one? Does it come up? And then you can kind of see where the bite mark is, and a bit more clearer. So that was constantly going off.
Yeah, man.
So, and then there was injuries such as like bite marks, you know, weapon marks, belt buckle marks, slaps. I've had nosebleeds, sort of like noses problems. I've had eye injuries, knee injuries, all kinds of various things that have gone off. But like I say, it came to the head. Sorry, I'll just stop sharing that now. But yeah, like I say, it came to the head in that 2014 when it was just constantly getting to the point where that's where I wanted to kind of go, enough's enough. And I shouted for help. And my release was that I'd had enough of life, and that was my shout out. But during all of this relationship problem, marriage, DV, that I actually turned to gambling because that was my release at times.
Right. Interesting. So like, did you tell anyone that she was doing this stuff to you?
No,
Before, we'll talk. Yeah. This is like powerful. We'll talk about the gambling because I think in January, we've got a guy. So fellas who are watching right now, you might not relate to DV, but if you relate to the gambling addiction, hopefully, I'm not going to promise, but hopefully we've got a real amazing contact of a guy who lost nearly £500,000 on gambling. So we'll come to that. But before the gambling, mate, did anyone know? Like, did you tell anyone?
Not really, no. I mean, I think people started suspecting stuff when I became quite withdrawn, when I wasn't allowed to see family. And, it was kind of like we could see her family, but we couldn't see mine. My sister that I was really close with, that kind of gone that thing that I wasn't allowed to see. But kind of my mum kind of saw bruises on my arm, but she said, "Oh, where did you get them from?" And I kind of hid them. I said, "Oh, I just bashed them on a cupboard," But then I kind of didn't tell anyone until many, many, many years later, until after obviously the attempted suicide and kind of stuff. So
flipping out. So you were basically struggling alone with this, man. That's mad. And no wonder you turned, as you said, to the gambling and stuff. So like, so with the gambling, do you always like a bet before, or was it like
not really? No, I mean, to be fair, kind of the Grand National, things like that, but that was it really.
who doesn't bet on the Grand National? Go on, I'll have a bet on the National. Go
exactly, you know what I mean, job done. But mine was more kind of online gambling, like turned into kind of quite an addicted to online gambling during the marriage, and kind of I was kind of gambling probably hundreds of pounds, out of thing, because that was my release. That was the thing that I turned to kind of escape the marriage and the DV, which. Wow. But I don't.
You get a buzz. Let's not lie. We'll talk. Yeah. I think we'll talk about this in the episode with one of my guests in the future. But you get a buzz. Like I don't gamble. I've only betted like 2 or 3 times in my life properly. And even then, it's like once by myself, and then twice was through a friend. Like I'd say, "Oh, put this money on," and that's in like that's my whole life.
And I think to be fair, it's the addiction. It's kind of the buzz. You see the flashing lights, or you think, "Oh, somebody's just won £1,000,000," and you think, "Oh, I'm going to win that. Let's put a £5 bet on this, or let's press the spin of a button and flashing lights." And it's kind of.
Have you ever been greyhound racing?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a couple of times.
Greyhound racing is awful. Like you don't have to put that much money on than that, and but flipping, I was getting right into that one year. I went with some of my boys and fucking sleep. Oh my gosh. I was putting only a couple of quid on, and I was going mad. I was like at the freaking fence, going, go on, like this, like, go on, two.
And then kind of like you're kind of chasing your losses as well at times, and then that's what I was doing. Kind of probably spent thousands during the marriage, and it was, because I'd won quite a bit, and then I kind of then thought, "Oh, I'm going to win thousands more," and just re-put it back in. And when the bonuses kept coming up, and kind of this, and it was flashing lights, and you get 50 free spins if you sign up here, and
nature of the beast,
spins,
mate.
and this is why kind of in my day job now I support people that have gambling addictions and alcohol addictions and drug addictions, and which is kind of, I think that domestic violence, or DV should I say, has set me on this path of it's set me on this path of why I such kind of care about people, because I hate people suffering.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing, man. Like that you've got that heart. Like that's your response as a result of being a victim of DV. That you've bounced back from it. This is inspirational for people to watch. Like seriously, like the fact that you suffered all that. Oh man, I was thinking about it. The other day when you said to me like, "Oh, I want to talk about it," I thought, man, you've got some serious like self-control. There'll be right. I want to. This is not for you to in any way feel guilt tripped or like any weakness or whatever. It's not like it's not what happened to you is just wrong. That's it. And that's the headline. Full stop. But you've got a lot. I want to also commend you on your self-control, because I know that, as I just said, there'll be blokes watch this and myself, and I hear that and I'm just like, what? Like serious? Like, nah, I wouldn't be allowing that sort of thing. And you know. But yeah, I just, oh wow, I think the fact that you didn't retaliate just speaks a lot of
and it's kind of you don't like kind of push away, you know, kind of get somebody off you when they're biting you. That reaction was there. Don't get me wrong, you know, that reaction was to kind of push away, you know, do whatever I can, but there was no actually physical intent to kind of harm her in any way, shape, or form. You know, I just kind of think, you know, if I'd have retaliated, she would have then claimed the victim. And I don't mean that nastily.
Yeah. No, that's massive. Like, so again, men watchers need to hear that, because I think that's part of the answer, right? I mean, I might be wrong. I'm just kind of like more trying to listen and pick it out of you. So like, would you say that might be one of the biggest factors why men don't retaliate, because they're afraid of then it being turned around on them? And let's be blunt. Come on. Yeah. If you're the police, right, and you hear about it, who are you going to believe more?
You're going to believe a woman. You're not going to believe a man, because a man is seen to be the butchier sex and kind of somebody that's, you know, a man can take it but can't give it.
Massive.
You know, it's, yeah. But to be fair, I mean, just on that note, the police officer I had was a female. She investigated it. She took it all the way through to the CPS and everything. Derbyshire Police were absolutely fantastic. The person that Copper had, they wanted to prosecute. Even the team sergeant wanted to prosecute. They had enough evidence to prosecute over the years, but the CPS decided not to pursue it. It wasn't in the public interest.
Crown Prosecution Service, right?
Yeah.
So can you explain very quickly what the CPS is? Because a lot of people are like, right, well, they had the evidence, the police said, who are the CPS? And
so the CPS and the Crown Prosecution, they make a decision on to charge somebody with a criminal offence or to pursue it in the court system. And they basically turned around and said that pretty much because it was a first offence and going down the road, it didn't actually say that it's because she was a woman, but it kind of alluded to that in that respect, because it was a first offence. She couldn't really it was her word against mine, kind of that kind of stuff.
Sorry, I'm not, this is not funny, but I laugh because I'm like, if someone is a drink driver and they've killed someone, oh, well, no, it's done it's first offence, we'll let them off. If someone has, you know, let's be blunt, if someone is a paedophile and then raped a child, oh no, it's all right, don't put it on the sex offender list.
Correct. And it should be treated as a gender neutral crime rather than kind of male, female, male, whatever. It should be straight down the line, regardless of it being any sex brought into it. It should be equal. And this is why I kind of campaign against like kind of, you know, inadequacy regarding male and females, because, you know, it's that experience that I've had with the Crown Prosecution Service that I don't want anyone else to suffer that.
I hope the Crown Prosecution Service are a separate entity, but I'm going to go ahead and say this. They're speaking of what I've just said. I don't want to go off tangent, but
no.
There are girls, young girls, who are being raped up and down our country, and they have not been brought justice.
No, correct.
So on the screen right now, I'll bring up the case, and her name's Ellie, and it's Justice for Ellie, and it was just like, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to sway people's beliefs or views, but I can't believe, I've read into it, and I just can't believe how sometimes some people have been an absolute nothing but just a victim of violence, a victim of crime, and then like. I mean,
like today as well, I was reading today that there was a 32-year-old woman that had sex with a 14-year-old boy, and she claimed that she didn't know his age. And if that had been on the other foot, what would have happened?
It would have been curtains. That guy would have been.
You know, and I don't want to seem that I've kind of got issues against females.
No, of course not.
It's that way up, isn't it?
We gotta have fairness. As much, you know, we want, you know, women to be equally paid. it's a disgrace if they're not, and it needs to be sorted if they're not.
Yeah,
you know,
there is some fantastic females out there.
Of course, there is.
Like your wife.
Oh, come on now, she is. Yeah, thank you, brother. So patriarchy needs, is a problem, and women still have issues today, and it's wrong. Oh man, there's some stuff that's just like, wow, really, like. And it's the same with men trying to get justice for access to their children.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I've experienced as well. Which
I'm not even saying this is opinion. This is fact. The justice system are in favor of women, and women use their children. Not all women, but some women do, and they use their children as a weapon, and it's disgusting. Yeah. Sorry, we're going with our social justice freaking campaign.
That's exactly what's happened to me when it's come to my children with obviously my ex, and I took her to court to try and get access. And she claimed that I was the psycho one, kind of the one that had mental health issues, blah, 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 blah. But then the judge kind of saw through her and said, you know what, we're giving you, there's no need for us to kind of stop your access. You've sought the appropriate help. You've got mental health support. You've done what you've done. You've got a letter from your GP, blah, 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 blah. We've got no reason to stop you having contact with your kids. And then in the end, it kind of had to, her and her solicitors and everything else had to concede. So I do get regular access to my children now.
That's amazing.
But that didn't actually go through until like the back end of 2015, 2016. So I fought a long 9 to 10 month battle through the court system, and I did that alone without any family support, but I did that with a solicitor through legal aid, because at the time I wasn't getting enough money to kind of pay for legal fees. But luckily the solicitor that I worked with was a pro person for male violence, like obviously from a woman. And
they shouldn't have to be. Do you know what I mean? Right? Like, they shouldn't have to be. Like, that shouldn't even be a thing. It's just like, really.
But the solicitor helped me get access, and kind of so that's where I'm at now. But it's
bro, you've been through it, man. Enough respect for coming on here and sharing this. Seriously. Well, we bless her anyway. Your ex, and we're not here to.
No, and I'm not going to, you know what, as much as now I say this, and we're not together, we only speak because of the sake of the kids. I pick them up at Tesco, so it's put in a public place, it's on camera, anything happens, we can kind of use that now. But to be fair, over the last probably year and a half, she's been really polite with me, kind of drop the kids up, pick them up, say what we have to say about the kids, and that's it. That's the only contact that we have. But we've got to show a united front regardless. It's not about us anymore. It's about the children.
Yeah, man. Well said.
Sorry, going off tangent. Sorry.
No tangents on any Light in the Shadows. We say it how it is. Our mantra is real talk, real men. So we got to say it. You got any advice, like for blokes, like who may not be right now, but maybe even in the future, when they start experiencing some of the telltale signs, like early things? You got any like advice or anything you could say to any viewers about what they should or could do to get any support?
Well, I would reach out straight away. As soon as the first sign of anything happening, I would reach out, regardless of any stereotypical whatever. You kind of reach out for help, whether that be through a support group, speak to a family member, speak to a friend, whatever. You speak to somebody. I think if I'd have spoken to somebody sooner, I wouldn't have half suffered of what I did.
Right.
Because I kind of would have perhaps, naivety at the time, it's that kind of damn love feeling, kind of, is this love, is it not, is it the right relationship? But I think my personal advice is that you reach out sooner rather than later. You get that help. It's easier said than done, because I've been there and I know how it feels. You don't want to reach out. You don't want to admit that there's a problem, but I would say reach out.
Is there something people could do within that relationship? So like, definitely, like, I'm feeling that go and talk to someone as best you can, like as hard as it is. But is there anything you could advise like blokes in these earlier kind of stages where I guess it could be a bit more firefighting, so to speak? What can they do within that relationship, would you say?
I would say talk to the other person and try and kind of like, before it gets to that point that it becomes an issue, you could try and sit down, have some time away, kind of from stressors, and just try and, because, I for everybody, people that are married, the people that I know that are married are in really healthy married relationships.
Oh, thanks, mate. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, bro.
And I think, you know, to be fair, you talk to the other person and say, look, you know, what's affecting you today? Or you kind of sit down and you talk, you spend time together. Because I think that's the problem that we also experienced, that I was off doing everything, working, all this kind of stuff. She was off doing whatever else. And we kind of didn't have any time together. And then when we did come together, it was kind of colliding.
Yeah. When really it should be like missing each other, right? It should be like, yeah. It should be sparks flying in another way. Yeah.
You know?
Right. Got you. So
yeah,
if it gets physical, you know, it's gone from psychological, because you can emotionally abuse people, psychologically abuse, but say if it gets to the point, financial control, man knows. You've done your MVQ. That's for those people that know when you get there's different types of abuse. But so once it gets physical, what can you recommend people do then, like in terms of, you know, to the partner?
I personally would keep. To be fair, I mean, if it's coming to that point that it is, then I kind of, if anyone that's hitting somebody else, kind of, I would always try and keep records, because it always helps to keep records as well about things that have happened, arguments, you know, photos if you can, medical records, move forward, because it will help you later down the line. And then also kind of, if it does get physical, I would say end the relationship. Obviously play fighting, a bit different kind of in terms of, you know, because everyone play fights, you know, but I think we all know what's the difference between play fighting and actual physical violence.
So I need you to re-say this, because typically with DV, both ways, not that I have experienced it either way, thank God, but it needs to be said, because I've witnessed it, and people need to be told. Like we always need soft love, you know, we need encouragement, we need gentle does it, and that's usually the right way in life with anything. But sometimes people just need to be told. So can you say that again about what you would do if you are in a relationship with someone who's being physically violent, not physical, but physically violent? What do they need to do?
I end the relationship.
Thank you. Say that again.
End the relationship.
Okay, good.
Because, you know, anyone that's physical violence is not good for you. It affects your mental health. It affects your, you know, anything in life. It just makes you feel less of a man.
And if you use it right, and I want to say this is, we've really got to hone it. This is where we talk real. Blokes will be like, oh no, man, but I love her, she loves me.
Know, but it's just a blip, it's just, you know, it's just, oh, she's having an off day, or, you know, it's this, that, the other, or it's kind of like, you know, she's having a bad day at work, or she's had a bad day with the kids, or, you know, but anyone that's physical violent is not good for you. You end it, full stop.
I don't think it's love either. And people go, oh yeah, but, you know, mums and dads have abused or hit their kids and they love them. It's like, listen, I'm sorry, people are imperfect, but in my world, and I'll say this because I run in Light the Shadows, any person physically hurts another person does not love that person 100%.
Correct. I'm sorry. And you know, the amount of trauma that it brings to the other person that's been affected by it is unbelievable. You know, from testament from myself, the amount of mental health suffering that I've had because of it, and I've kind of, only the last probably couple of years that I've really dealt with all the issues that I've had kind of from that relationship.
Yeah.
So, and to be fair, it has put me off a relationship in the future, but obviously I haven't been in relationships since my ex-wife, but they've always ended because people have tried to get close, but I've not let them in.
Yikes. Yeah.
Which
that's the impact it's had on you, man. That's frustrating. That's frustrating.
But to be fair, you know, things are improving, you know, kind of it's a work in progress. You know, it's kind of like I've got to deal with those issues before I can fully commit to any relationship. Because
oh my gosh. That's a light bulb moment. That's an enlightened moment. No, seriously, man, people need to hear that, because what people do as well, and it's not a judgment session. This is I observe the world, bro. People who know me properly know I'm taking everything in. I'm learning loads of sectors, society, pocket, everything, and I see this a lot. People think that if they just have a baby, or if they just go on to the next person for a relationship, if they just do on to the next thing or next object or pay for, they think that that thing is going to fix them. And
it doesn't.
It's such a lie. It doesn't. It doesn't.
You need to deal with the root cause of what's causing the problem straight away. I think, to be fair, now knowing what I've done, I probably should have dealt with those things sooner before kind of getting into those relationships that I've had. I've had 2 relationships since my ex-wife, but kind of I should have dealt with issues that have affected me, because as soon as they tried to get close, I was pushing them away, and it wasn't fair for them and it wasn't fair for me.
Self-awareness is so freaking massive. It's so underrated, and it's one of the core reasons I started Enlighten the Shadows. People think, oh, Rory's on with something. No,
right, I'm going to start shedding tears in a minute.
I hope. See, come on, this is what it's about, bro. We got to say it real and lay it on the line so that other people can come out of the shadows, and that's why we started this thing. But mate, seriously, like, people need to hear this, because life is an experience, and you know what? We're not here to dig people out. You know, you've struggled. This is impacted your life, and it's about that self-awareness. You know, I don't care how old people think they are or how wise they are.
No.
Everyone's still self-discovering, self-awareness, because you're trying to figure out, like, what triggers you, what puts you down, what bums you out, what lifts you up.
And I think the fact that I'm quite a big guy as well, you know, self-image constant, you know, kind of like, you know, for me, I'm quite a big guy anyway. And you kind of the self-image, you know, people would think, you know, oh, you know, he wouldn't take that, you know, he wouldn't kind of, he's a big guy, you know.
I said this honestly. I spoke to my mate Rich. Rich Smith's he had episode 10, I believe. And Rich is one of the Enlighten volunteers that we have, and he's in the special episodes. And Rich I saw him earlier, he's in our support bubble, and I said, do you know like Rosie's like bigger than you, bro? Like, he you know, if he wanted to retaliate and pack a punch, he'll pack a punch. Like, he could knock most blokes out, trust me. And he was like, yeah. I was like, and I said to him, I said, I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he stayed self-controlled, and he just. So yeah, man. People should hear that too. Like, you're not
just because the shape or size of you doesn't mean you can not be a victim. You know, or you know, I don't class myself as a victim now. I class it as an experience.
Oh, I like that. I like that. We can't feel so. This is not a pity party. We said that. I like that.
No. And I think it's an experience that's made me do better things in my life and move forward. You know, for where I'm working now, so I work with quite vulnerable people, and also kind of like, you know, people that have come to the country that are refugees, with leave to remain and stuff like that. So I work with quite vulnerable people and quite kind of naive people, and that's put me on the path of where I am now. And obviously when I worked with yourself, that kind of opened my eyes up, and kind of, even though at times I was kind of like a big baby and crying all the time because the kids were kind of, you know, because I cared too much. That's the problem. Somebody gets hurt, I care, and sometimes I put my all in all into it and never give anything back to myself. But I've kind of slightly learned to give something back to myself rather than give. Do
you know what? That's why me and you are so similar. Like, do you know what? I'll say this. I'll get vulnerable too. So like, not a lot of people know this, but the reason why our time together at the place we work came to an end, it want to be absolutely clear. One of the managers who had just come in right in the last minute when I've already made my mind up. We're good mates with him, and he's top boy, and nothing to do with him whatsoever. I'll make that clear on camera. But
yeah, exactly correct. He would, you know what? He helped me through my last few months at where I worked, and you know, to be fair, big up to him.
Yeah. It's like a Voldemort. He who should not be named. But I just don't know if he wants to talk about his name. But what brought my time to an end there is exactly what you just touched on about. You want to give. You want to help. And actually, Charisse, my wife, she said it to me. It came up in conversation this morning. I don't know why it did, and how I obviously want to just like I just care like you do. I want to make the world a better place. I want to help people, and you know what? Like I got to the point where they didn't, you know, I'll say this. They
just burn out.
They didn't cover a team member who left, and I was doing 2 people's job at once, and And
You've taken on my jobs
out
as well, because I got moved to a different area because of the old manager.
You can't do it. I tried. Trust me. I was a beast. I was a Trojan. I was pushing through.
Yeah.
It got to the point where I felt like I was in a dream. Like everything went grey. I was a bit numb to everything, and it was exhaustion. It's the weirdest thing. People think exhaustion is like you're like, oh, it's
not. It's far from it.
You push through a certain point, don't you, where you're not tired, but you're in a like daze.
You're in like a bubble, pardon the pun, because what we're in at the minute, but it is like a bubble. Yeah. You're literally in your own little world, and you just kind of like, I can't think, I can't, everything's not normal. It's just all.
It's freaking horrible. It's horrible. And we say to people, I want to help people, just really just take a bit of rest. Trust me. I had to do it this year. So I was doing all this ENLIGHTEN stuff. I'm like smashing it out, like really trying to create something to help men improve their lives and just be a service to blokes and that. And I had a holiday. I had to have a holiday. The lads said, you're not having a holiday and then still doing stuff. They're like, you're having a holiday. I was like, oh. So the lads are freaking brilliant. We love Paolo and Rich, and obviously Blaine now as well. But at the time, it was just Rich and P. So can't stress it enough to the viewers. Like resting is massive.
It is. Always take time out for yourself. If it's one thing that I've learned through all of this, is to take a few hours out for yourself, go for a walk, relax, just take some time out for yourself and chill, because that's what's needed at times.
Yeah. One of my mates who came on episode 3, Scott Harlow, he's really learning the art of that this year. He's doing so good with that. Like, I want to publicly respect and honor him. So
I think the kind of job that I'm in now, yes, it's stressful, it is, but it's highly rewarding. I get to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, get weekends off. I get more time to spend with my children now than I've ever done. So, and I'm kind of making time for myself. Not that I want to big myself up, but I've just started volunteering for freewheelers in East Midlands, freewheelers, delivering like human breast milk, blood products, all in my spare time. So whether that be on a bike or a car, and we're doing different hospitals and stuff. So it's giving something back to the community. It's not about me. It's about giving something back to a family that could lose a baby. That if they didn't get that milk in a premature baby unit, but it's about giving that back to that family. It's not about me. It's about them.
I think that that's class. You're doing that. I mean, it's important that guys hear that too. Like, I got to a certain point where you're processing something that happened to you that's really tough, or a trauma, or whatever. And as a lot of blokes who are watching this, 100% have and will, but they don't know how to like almost snap out of it. And I think one of the best ways to like redirect yourself and snap yourself out of any unnecessary prolonged grievance or anger or processing. There's no time frame, so I'll never ever say that to anyone. But they've got to come to a point where you don't focus on yourself anymore as much. You've got to kind of like push through to like, help people too. So it's like not the extreme we just said about getting burnt out, but there's a balance. There isn't. There's an art.
There's that balance that's kind of you kind of got to have your own time, but then you've also got to have every single your own free time to do stuff that you enjoy. Yeah, whether that be helping the community or whatever. But it's like you, Rory. We're always got a heart for people, and we want to see people achieve, and whether that be a homeless person or somebody that's not even a week old and they need some help. I think that's the kind of to be fair.
That's how we get back up, and this is why we exist in like the shows. We're here for men. We're here as a bit of access to get that help, and man, your story is so inspiring. I love it.
And I think, to be fair, there's like kind of the reason why, like I say earlier on, this is the reason I've come on, because if it just helps one person kind of deal with any issues, then fair play.
It's worth it, isn't it? All day long, it's worth it.
All day long. If you're at that point, I'll just say this: if you're at that point where you are contemplating suicide, there's people there that will help you. And my inbox on the group is always open for people to talk to me.
It's class, man.
And I will help where I can, because if it's one life saved, then it's hundreds of lives saved, because the impact that it has on family members as well. I've kind of gone all through this training myself, because I've just recently done some suicide bereavement training, suicide intervention training and stuff like that through Harmless. So I'm now trained to kind of interlink So, which is...
Yo, we're gonna have to get you connected with Vicky Waring. She did episode 16 because she was bereaved by suicide, her husband, and she is absolutely amazing. We just absolutely love her. We're partnering with her.
The interview was amazing. I think it was quite powerful stuff.
she's wonderful, and we're gonna into 2021. We're gonna come up with some big stuff, and so I might have to contact you to come on board. With that, I think it'd be important. But yeah, before we go, Steve, mate, I want to say that we have a Enlighten the Shadows question. We do this most weeks, and basically it's just to really drive home why Enlighten the Shadows exists, and that. And before I ask you it, it's like it's important that we cover, as we said earlier in the show, about suicide, and that's why I want to bring this on the screen before we answer this question about people who want to end it like now, like today, as another option this Sunday, fellas. I'm telling Porkies.
No, because it's
in January. Enlisted, because we've already had enlisted for December the 6th. We're not at December the 6th anymore. It's December the 13th as you're watching this. So enlisted, right, fellas, we set this up for this reason. Men, we struggle to talk. We struggle with suicide. Not all men, but we want to create a place where we can just feel comfortable about being real and even sharing things that we're going through that it's just driving you over the edge. So enlisted is an open men's chat group. We've partnered officially with Rebels Boxing Gym in Nottingham, and we do first Sunday of every month at 12:30, and it's at Rebels Gym on Hartley Road, Radford, Nottingham. So make sure I'll put it on the screen. So make sure that you guys go there.
Big up, come along, and you know, just even if it's to come to have a chat, a laugh, a giggle, whatever time, we'll have a good session time, because I will be there. And if this video's touched you and you want to talk to me, I will be there on January the 6th, 7th, 13th, whatever it is.
No, what am I on about? 13th? No, it's 7th. No, just don't worry about the date. We will get the date right on the screen. Come up right now.
Whatever date it is, but I will make sure that I'll be available at that session. If people want to come and talk to me, then I'll be there.
That's amazing of you, bro, because you will be able to be there and be relatable, whereas people like myself and others, they won't. So that's massive. Oh, class, man. But yeah, so what I did want to ask you, I just wanted to plug Enlisted because it's freaking brilliant, and people who
it's good for us men to all talk together, because I think it's good to talk to your partner, your wife, your boss, whatever, but it's also good as men to come together and share similar experiences. There's no judgment there, it's I think most of the time we're all judged, I think as male we're judged.
Trust me, they're not getting that Enlisted. Because although I'm leading it, I actually participate in everything. I'm on a level with everyone. There's no judgment. There's no hierarchy. No one laughs. And yeah, man, the feedback was class after the first one we had. So yeah.
And there's probably tears that are shed as well. At times.
You know what? I'll say it. There were.
If I'm crying now on screen, then let the tears flow. That's what I say.
Come on, get the armbands on. Start swimming. Get the Kleenex tissues. But yeah, before we go, Rosie, mate, so our question is, if someone today watching this feels just utterly hopeless and helpless, and they just feel like they want to end it, what's one piece of short advice you could give them?
Reach out, reach out. Just send a message, talk, ring somebody, or, contact the group, contact Rory, contact myself, contact anybody that you feel confident in to reach out, because I can guarantee there'll be probably people in your life that will absolutely care about you. And, there's always tomorrow. Don't think about today. There's always tomorrow.
Come on.
And if anyone stood on the bridge and they text me by hi, hello, water, I will try and get to you to kind of help you.
Come on, we'll get those speed tickets. We'll take it on the chin for you. You're worth it. Come on, you're worth it, fellas. And you know what, Rosie, you mentioned that before we go. I'm going to plug it. This is very important. I say it unapologetically. The reason why Enlighten the Shadows wants to grow, the reason why I'm putting on the screen right now a chance for you to donate on buymeacoffee.com or you can join us monthly and subscribe as a patron of Enlighten the Shadows on patreon.com. Come up on the screen as well. The reason why I put it on the screen for you to donate is we want to create outreach teams. We want to go to the car parks in the city centre. We want to go to hotel car parks, national car parks. We want to go to bridges all up and down the M1 and within our region. We want to create free matter. So advertisements, encouragements, stickers, with permission of the council. Obviously, we want to implement all of this, and we want to just go searching for men. We want to work with the police and find out where these hotspots specifically are, what times. We want to create data, but ultimately it's not about the numbers, it's about reaching. If it's one man, as Rosie said, we want to get there. So this is why I've got this stuff on the screen right now. I'm not saying it's going the Rory Green bank out, not a freaking chance. Honestly, me and my wife have spent, I won't say how much, a lot of money on investment in Enlighten the Shadows. And we've never said that to no one. And it's been a privilege to date, but we can't keep pressing through until we have amazing people like you guys who've watched this episode so far. So make sure that you check it out, especially Patreon, because it breaks down the 3 different plans. There's like, I think it's £5, £10 and £30. And you get stuff.
Bronze, silver and gold, I think, Rory. I think it is, isn't it? Bronze,
yeah,
bronze,
that's
silver,
the one,
gold
mate.
Packages, so.
Yeah, get on it, guys. And no pressure. Like, and I'll say this, he didn't tell me to say this, but Rosie was one of our first donators on Buy Me a Coffee. He blessed us with some money on there. So in fact, can you just say, how long did it take you to get to do Buy Me a Coffee?
Literally seconds. So, if it's a £5 that buys somebody a coffee when they're in need, or, whatever it pays for to allow Rory or the team to go out and help somebody, or whatever, whoever's going to go out on the team and, just help save somebody, that coffee can be a lifesaver. Yeah. All that money, £5 will buy a coffee for somebody, or something to eat, or, a way of engagement to help somebody 100%. Save somebody's life.
Come on, man. Love it.
Also, subscribe.
Come on, yeah, you guys got it. Got it down.
The shadow. Exactly. Get in with all the technophobes.
Come on, mate.
Yeah, no, subscribe to these videos and keep checking everything out, because, it could save your life and it could help others in need.
Wow. Mate, I didn't pay you to say this, I swear. I was like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, mate, and I know that we've got the tree, it's Christmas time, but money's
tight. I've not done mine yet, to be fair, so mine's kind of going to go up next week, I think. It's kind of living on your own. You kind of don't these things. Yes, I've got kids, but I'd rather do it when I've got the kids with me.
Yeah, 100%. You've got experience these things with family. No, mate, it's been amazing today. Really, I've loved it, but... Yeah. The final thing I'll say, but yeah, like I say, my inbox, Facebook, on the group is open. Anybody wants to chat, I'll happily chat with you. Yeah. Once I get started talking, I never shut up. So I'm also a good listener as well. So, but love it, mate. Love it. We just appreciate coming on. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us this episode. If you haven't joined us on the social media side of things, come on the screen right now. We've got Twitter. Come on, my guy. We've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, both the same handle. It's at Enlighten the SH1. As Rosie said, you got that Facebook group coming up right now on the screen, as well as the Facebook group, as you can see on the screen. And I don't plug this enough, but we've also got the Facebook page, so just quickly go on and give it a like, so it can just direct you to the episodes that come out. So amazing. We want to say we're excited for special episode 8, which is going to be our last one of 2020. Thank God we're getting out of 2020. We're going to have a special episode. The boys are going to have fancy dress. So who knows what's going to be popping off there or what people are going to look like. So make sure you join us next time. But until then, fellas, keep going, keep pressing on, and take Rosie's advice today, because it wasn't just about being an experience of domestic violence. There's many gems in there we talked about. Hope you enjoyed episode 22. See you later, guys. Cheers, Rosie, mate.
Yes, thanks a lot, Rory. Cheers.